This week, news travelled around the world of the horrific incident at the Travis Scott concert. If you hadn't heard, 8 people have died, and a number of others are still critically injured after what appears to have been a major crowd crush. Sadly, this is not the first time an incident such as this has taken place. We covered the Hillsborough disaster here on this channel previously, and many of you pointed out in the comments that 11 lives had been lost at a concert for The Who in 1979. Likewise, the same thing happened at Love Parade in Germany in 2010 when 21 lost their lives. Even a religious ceremony is not safe from crowd crush. In 2015, at the Lag B'amer religious festival in Israel, 45 people were crushed to death at what was supposed to be a peaceful celebration. In all these cases, better organisation and safety checks could have saved lives. But if we've learned anything from the videos on here, it's that there's no accounting for human error. It's always most tragic when it occurs as a result of being a cost-saving measure. Here's the kicker. Greedy people are never going to stop trying to cut corners and save costs. The outcry over this current incident will eventually die down, and while it may lead to some better safety protocols in the short term, there's no accounting for those who think they know better. Tragically, this will not be the last crowd crush leading to avoidable deaths. But what should you do if you find yourself in a crowd crush? It's definitely a question I've asked myself on previous occasions, and I'm going to be straight up with you here. I actually got very obsessive about it at one point in my life, researching frantically. And I did a lot of research. Fortunately, I get to share that with you today, so I guess there was a point to it all. Of course, tragically, sometimes none of this will work and your fate may be sealed. But hey, it's something you've got in your back pocket to at least try. So, here we go. The scariest thing about a crowd crush is that once you start feeling the pressure of the crush, it's already too late to act. When you're in it, you won't be able to get out. So obviously, avoiding getting into a crowd is a very basic answer. But honestly, you may be depriving yourself of a lot of fun experiences. Concerts, sports matches, and other events involving crowds can be fun, and most people come out of them unscathed. Even those who enjoy a mosh pit will endure bumps and bruises for the high that comes from the adrenaline of the situation. So, while it's easy to say just don't get yourself into these scenarios involving crowds, it's also extremely naive and would deprive you potentially of having some of the most exciting experiences in life. The first thing you have to do if you find yourself in a crowd crush is identify your exit point. Should you turn back or go forward? Maybe you could even go up or down. Next, it's time to do the good old thing your mama taught you. Get somebody's attention who can help you if possible. This is the time for thinking outside the box. Social manners get to go out the window. Scream, shout, allow yourself permission to go somewhere that you potentially wouldn't otherwise. If climbing up onto a stage is the way out, do it. You can get forgiveness later and you'll have gotten somebody's attention. If the nearest security guard is in spitting distance and all you can do is spit at them. I'm not suggesting you go around spitting at security guards. I'm just giving you an example to do whatever you need to do to get the attention of somebody who can get you out of the situation. Equally, it's just as important to know when to stop screaming. The vast majority of deaths in stampedes are caused by asphyxiation. Avoid screaming unless it's actually going to help, and control your breathing when possible. Next, you need to create as much room to continue doing the basic thing your body needs, breathing. Put your arms out just in front of your chest, creating a barrier, and hold them there. This may give you even the critical half a centimeter that you'll need to breathe. Your limbs might get broken, but you can fix a broken bone. The absolute worst thing you can do is put your hands up in the air, so don't do that. Try to breathe consciously and avoid hyperventilating. You want slow, steady breaths that fill your lungs with air. Next, know about the sway phenomenon. The crowd will sway. If people are collapsing, the sway can be unpredictable, but even without collapse, a crowd will always sway. People will push you, people might shove you or punch you voluntarily or involuntarily, and they are panicking. You need to do the opposite. Do not under any circumstances push back. I'm an eye for an eye girl myself at times, but this is not the moment. Whatever you put out, including pushback, is going to come back on you amplified by the crowd. A crowd crush is all about chain reaction. And here's something that could absolutely save your life. Just like with a wave in the ocean, with sway, there is ebb and flow. There will be a huge crush, followed by more crush, followed by maybe more crush. Do not fight the sway, however contrary it feels to have become part of the sway. This is a horrible fact, but in doing so, you may find yourself stepping over others. Obviously, if at all possible, help them, but if all is lost, you need to stay with the sway. Part 2 of this wave phenomenon is knowing that just like waves in the sea, there will come a time when the wave pulls back. With flow or sway, there has to be ebb. Knowing this with certainty is the thing that could save your life. These are critical seconds, in which the crush, however slight, will ease. Tap into this rhythm and use these crucial 2 seconds to inch towards safety. Never try to go forward or backwards if you're in a true crowd crush. You'll be fighting against the wave, and I don't care if you're 6'4" and built like a tank. You cannot fight the wave. The crowd will not let you. Rather than going forwards or backwards, instead, you're going to inch diagonally toward escape, inch by inch if necessary. Identify your way out of the crowd, and yes, that's why they say to look for your exit when you enter somewhere. And in the seconds between the sway, inch toward it. Remember to go diagonally. This means you won't be fighting against the crowd directly, and it will give you a stronger chance of escape. If you cannot see an exit, do everything you can to avoid solid objects. The absolute last place you want to be is stuck against a wall, pillar, fence, or barrier, so if nothing else, inch away from these. If this means fighting the sway, you're in a really tough spot. But adopt the diagonal method, and when the sway comes, do your best to stay put rather than going toward the barrier. Next, don't ever go to the ground. I know this sounds obvious, but in the panic of the situation, grappling for a dropped phone or wallet could be the line between surviving and not. Your physical belongings are not important when your physical being is being threatened. Items can be replaced. And I know you know that now while you're calmly watching this YouTube video, but in the crisis of the situation, you may be thinking, I need my phone to call for help, or the panic of the situation may just cause you to not weigh up these points. When this might get harder is if a friend or loved one goes to the ground. Obviously, you're going to do your best to assist them, but in doing so, do not under any circumstances join them on the ground. You'll create what is essentially a sinkhole in the crowd and become a magnet for a pile-up. And that's something that no amount of strategizing is going to be able to help you out of. The only worthwhile advice in a situation where you find yourself on the ground is to try and stay off your stomach or back, lay on your side to protect your most vital organs, protect your head, and bring your legs close to your body. Create the barrier for breathing if you can. Remember I mentioned chain reaction earlier. If you find yourself in a position to be able to help somebody else without jeopardizing your own safety, do it. And not just because you're a hero and it's the right thing to do, but because your behavior is contagious in the crowd. Let as many people around you know you're helping or see you're helping as possible. The crowd, while made up of individuals, is acting as one unit, and altruistic behavior is contagious. One good deed breeds another, and likewise, selfish behavior begets more selfish behavior. If it's every man for himself, it's going to be chaotic. If it's in your power to create a tiny chain reaction that may lead to a larger one which may ultimately save your life, do it. Finally, comes the most easily overlooked gift that you have in your pocket to save yourself in a situation like this. It might sound like hokum, but your intuition is your greatest ally. If you find yourself in a crowded area and feel uncomfortable, leave before something goes down. If you look at security and crowd control upon entering a venue and it gives you goosebumps, that's your intuition telling you something. Leave. At the end of the day, human beings are animals, and the gift of intuition tells you something, so listen to it. I hope that none of you ever find yourselves in this horrendous situation, but if you do, one of these tiny things might just save your life. Until we speak again, sending you good vibes. Stay safe out there.